everybody, Sean with Triangle Truth, and welcome back to another rapid review. As Jay is fond of saying, we just like alliteration because this won't be quite as rapid as some reviews I've been doing recently. So, this was a series when it first came out. I thought about doing a review on number 1, and then after getting number 2 so quickly, I decided that, you know what, I'm just going to hold off and at least get it to like a volume 1, so to speak, closing point, which little did I know when it was released that that's exactly what they were going to do. It was just 5 issues. So I am here to talk to you guys this week about Maniac of New York, issues 1 through 5, or volume 1. Written by Elliot Callan, who is, from what I understand, an award-winning writer for, I think, some big TV series, streaming stuff, whatnot. He's won numerous awards, so needless to say, he kicked ass at writing this book as well. Arts and colors are by Andrea Moody. If I pronounced that wrong and you see this video, please let me know in the comments. And letters done by Taylor Esposito. And then published by one of the best companies going right now, and that's Aftershock. Before I jump into the review, if you've not checked out Aftershock's catalog, head on over to their website or head down to your local comic shop. Check it out. Literally one of the best catalogs going right now. I honestly can't think of a bad story that I've read in the past 4 or 5 years from them. That's kind of, I've only been reading comics since about 2015. Discovered them about 3 or 4, maybe 5 years ago. Well, side tangent, but either way. And literally everything that they've written has been some of the best, especially when you talk about your horror and slasher comics. So check out Aftershock if you can. So what this centers around is what happens when an unstoppable serial killer, just you can't stop him, and society just basically goes to the point where they just adjust their daily lives to, well, the body count just is there. So that's kind of what this is about. It centers around the main killer, Maniac Harry, who first appears, they show you in the book, on New Year's Eve 2016 and kills 79 people in Times Square. Nobody can stop him. They also tell you that to date his actual kill count is 493 people through the series writing of this book. So just to give you an idea of how unstoppable he is. So it definitely lended itself to a very interesting synopsis coming into it, which is part of the reason why it was actually a gamble pick for me, but it ended up not being a gamble. It's truly good. The series also centers around 2 other main characters, a Gina Green and Zelda Pettibone. Gina is kind of a disgruntled, in the political side of things with police and whatnot. And Zelda is a detective who's just, she's kind of down on her luck. And they get assigned to this task force for Maniac Harry for the mayor's office. And that's kind of their job, so to speak. They tell you that it's been a revolving door of people coming in and out and whatnot. But Gina, more so than anybody else in the past, has motivation to really try and figure out how to stop Harry. And they don't really tell you why. At first. The first couple of issues are a bit vague with these 2 characters, especially Gina, but they definitely do a great job tying it up, which we'll get into. So, one of the other interesting things that they talk about, kind of from the beginning, is there is a Harry-free kill zone in New York. And of course, as you can imagine, they tell you that real estate prices in that area have skyrocketed because people don't want to die. Wonder why. So, and they show you flat out. Harry, the best way to describe Harry is think of a little bit of Jason, but with a New York flair to him. Similar style mask, has a really cool like tribal painting design on it and whatnot. Carries a machete, and you literally see him. He's unstoppable. You see him get hit with bullets and anything, and he just keeps going. The biggest clash of the entire first volume, and it literally takes place over the course of the last 2 or 3 issues, is his big subway kill spree. The mayor has this automated train that he wants to run, and he's got it out on its trial run. Lo and behold, Harry gets on board this thing, and before the cops get on, they really do kind of focus on the mayhem on this. They send around a couple of kids and a mom, and he's going left and right, killing people as he's moving through the various cars, and then he is about to get to a mother and her children, and he's got everything in the air ready to go, and all of a sudden you hear over the loudspeaker, now approaching the 81st Street station, and all of a sudden he freezes and he sits. And he sits there while the train makes a stop, runs through that area, and then you hear it say now approaching a different area, and boom, he's back to going. So that leaves a big question in your head. What is the significance of 81st Street in that general area? So you're left wondering that for a good majority of the storyline throughout the next 2 or 3 issues. But what you also learn once Gina and Zelda arrive on the train and they're trying to get people off, save them, but they're also facing Harry head on, you finally learn where Gina's motivation and where her trauma with Harry comes from. So this really helps kind of complete the story of her. And you learn that she, several years ago, experienced Harry at, I think it was a camp, like a summer camp up there in New York, and he killed her boyfriend while she somehow managed to escape out of the building that they were in. So you find out that that's really where her motivation comes from, but also a hefty fear of Harry because she's seen him and dealt with him firsthand and has that trauma. Towards the end of everything, again, they're really trying to work to get Harry taken care of, and they finally manage to get almost everybody off. They're on the last car, and Gina tells Zelda, "You got to go." She's like, "I'm not gonna leave you." She's like, "I got this," and blah blah blah. You see her just take up, and she starts just swigging down alcohol, and they're trying to figure out what they can do to kill Harry. Well, he goes to raise, and his machete gets stuck on one of the overhead handrails on the subway, and in that time, it allows her to do this, get it stuck, and then she takes a lighter and blows the alcohol out, and it catches fire, thus catching Harry on fire. And you see him just dive off the back of the train and run off. And people are assuming he's dead and this and that. Well, it's kind of, it's one of those where, come on, guys, if bullets didn't stop him, but at the same time, everybody has their weaknesses, and in this instance, the fire genuinely hurt him more than any of the bullets that he's been shot with up to this point. He literally hits him, and the only sound that Harry ever makes is they just put, I don't know if that's how he sounds, but in my head, that's what I hear. That's all you hear, just Hurr, and several R's and whatnot. That's the only sound he's ever made throughout the entire thing. So you get to the end of this whole clash and whatnot, and Harry's gone. They presume he's dead and whatnot, and the backlash that comes from this. Basically what they did was the mayor's office turned Gina into the scapegoat for everything that happened. Everything about the train being left on there, even though you see in the book that the mayor's like, well, they got to deal with it, and he's going to deal with the losses of it, such as life. They make Gina the scapegoat for why nobody got evacuated off the train, why were so many people dead, and this and that. So she's dealing with the backlash of that, while Zelda is painted as the hero that saved everybody on the train. So she gets the commendation. You see her back at her old department. She's now a detective, and or no, she was already a detective, but she gets some kind of promotion. But you see all the people that didn't like her, faking like, "Oh, congrats, Pettibone," blah blah blah, and and even in her mind, she's just thinking, "F you, whatever." She knows these people are faking it and whatnot. You see Gina on TV with like their big political person that they have, like the TV's version of, like, think of a Rush Limbaugh or somebody like that. Just berating her, tearing her apart, and the last issue kind of goes with that, and then a couple of sidebars. You learn what the significance of 81st Street is to some degree. They show a side scene of a museum. I'm guessing it's like a history museum, something like that. And in this area, there's an exhibit of all the artifacts from, ancient whatever, and it's got some amulets from a tribe called the Chai Chui Valley, and the amulets are all said to hold supernatural powers against like evil spirits and whatnot. Well, one of the amulets that they show is literally almost like a mask with the same design and patterns that Harry's has. So this brings the supernatural into an already amazing slasher story. So they give you that little tidbit. They also show the little girl that was saved, and I forgot to mention the mother was actually killed, unfortunately, but the girl and her sister were saved. She's staying with her Nana, and she desperately wants to get a hold of Gina and the detective to talk with them because she wants to tell them some of the stuff that she remembers, that's some of the significant information about Harry that she thinks will help him. And of course the grandmother is kind of like the person on TV and is just, now you blah 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 and hate and this and that. Even catches her trying to make a phone call so that she could talk to her, and just grabs it and hangs it up. And they kind of end that there for now with this 5th issue. And of course you come back, you see Gina and Pettibone talking again, and Pettibone's like, come on, I mean, Harry hasn't done anything and blah blah blah. So they, she's almost convinced she's dead, and Gina's like, is he really though? And they leave you with the very last image of an alleyway of a homeless guy trying to find something to eat. He turns, of course, it's Harry. And he doesn't realize it's Harry. And of course, he's trying to ask him for some food and this and that. And Harry just kills him. You see him, the very last page is him walking out of the alleyway into the city again. So you know he's there. So you know that the story's going to continue. Which I am super happy to report that apparently, I think early next year, if I remember reading right, like around January or so, they're going to go with Volume 2 of the Maniac of New York, and it's going to be called Burning in the Bronx. So I'm extremely excited to see where Elliot and team continue to take this story. It was one of those, like, the first couple of issues were a bit of a slow burn, and then you hit issues 3, 4, and 5, and it really starts picking up, putting pieces of the story that seem to be missing in the first 2 issues together to help kind of get everything all encompassing. And now I am 100% just on board, hooked and ready to go for when the second volume comes out and starts. So I'm definitely going to have that on my pull list. So expect, as soon as that comes out, next year, to hear from me. I may do a number 1 and be like, all right, so where are we now after the events of Volume 1 and how that ended, and where does Volume 2, Issue 1 kick off? So definitely keep an eye out for that. Again, highly recommend the series. The artwork is very, very fitting for this type of series. I loved it. It was a very simple, it felt like, art style. Did an amazing job telling the story. The way they did the colors, especially when Harry was on screen, to me really accented everything. Of course, they did a great job with how they made him look as a killer. When he's actually killing people and this and that. So it literally felt like still shots, from a great slasher. It was really well done by the entire team, and I like I said, I can't recommend it enough. But as I said, if slashers and whatnot are your thing, you have to read this. It's a better take on one of the Friday the 13th, Jason Takes Manhattan. This is like better. Just, that's my opinion of it. So definitely, like I said, all 5 issues are out now. Head down to your local comic shop. Head over to Aftershock's website. Check it out for yourself. Get you all 5 copies. Read it. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comments below. As always, everybody, please stay safe, stay healthy, read Aftershock. And I'll catch you guys next time. Have a good one, everybody. Later.